Today we delve into the depths of human cruelty with 5 worst punishments in history. Brace yourselves, because these aren't for the faint of heart. Let's begin with a punishment that will chill you to the bone. Pena culiae. Sounds almost poetic, doesn't it? This punishment from ancient Rome was anything but. It was reserved for the most despised criminals, parricides, or those who murdered their parents. The condemned would be sewn into a leather sack along with several live animals, usually a dog, a rooster, a snake, and a monkey. Then, the sack was thrown into the river. The mixture of panic, bites, scratches, and the impending doom of drowning made this punishment truly terrifying. Imagine the chaos inside that sack, the desperate struggle for survival amid the biting, clawing, and sheer terror. Pena culiae was a twisted combination of psychological and physical torture. Next we travel to the cold, ruthless lands of the Vikings for a punishment that sounds like it was ripped from a horror movie, the Blood Eagle. Reserved for the most hated enemies, this gruesome execution involved the victim's back being sliced open and their ribs separated from the spine and spread out to resemble wings. To make matters worse, the executioner would then pull out the victim's lungs and drape them over the ribs. It was a horrifying spectacle meant to terrify anyone who dared oppose the Vikings. The agony and slow death inflicted by the Blood Eagle were designed to be both a brutal punishment and a chilling deterrent. Moving on to a method that makes your skin crawl: rat torture. Used in various forms throughout history, this punishment turned ordinary rats into instruments of terror. Imagine being tied down with a metal container placed on your stomach. Inside the container, starving rats. A heat source would be applied to the container, driving the rats to seek escape by burrowing through the softest material available, the victim's flesh. The excruciating pain and the sheer horror of being gnawed alive from the inside made this punishment one of the most feared. Rat torture was a horrifying blend of psychological and physical torment. Next, we turn to the Spanish conquistadors, who devised a particularly brutal punishment for those they saw as enemies. The method: pouring molten gold down the throat of the condemned. This was not just about killing the victim, it was symbolic, a gruesome reminder of the greed that drove the Spanish conquests. The molten gold would burn through the victim's mouth, throat, and internal organs, causing an unimaginably painful death. The irony was bitter and cruel: to die by the very gold that the Spanish so ruthlessly sought. It was a deadly punishment that made a macabre statement about the cost of greed. Finally, we return to ancient Rome for a spectacle of death: damnatio ad bestias, or condemnation to the beasts. This punishment involved throwing the condemned into an arena with wild animals, often lions, tigers, or bears. The crowd would watch as the beasts tore the victim apart, relishing the violence as a form of public entertainment. It was a brutal reminder of the power of the state and the fragility of human life. Damnatio ad bestias was both a gruesome execution and a morbid show for the masses.